So far this year, we've learned about two kinds of equations. We've learned about linear equations, and we've learned about exponential equations. So, how do we tell what kind of data we're looking at? Well, sometimes you can tell from the chart by looking at the numbers. Do you multiply to get to the next number, or do you add to get to the next number? Sometimes it's not that easy to tell. So then we're going to use Desmos. So we are going to add a table in Desmos. And my example that I just had 0 and 5, 1 and 15, 2 and 45, 3 and 135. Those are my data points. If you want to see the data points, then you click on this, and my X numbers are between 0 and 5. My Y numbers go up to 135, so I might change this to 150, a little bit more than 135, so that I can see all my data points. You don't have to look at the data points. That's just if you want to see them. Okay, the question is this data linear or exponential? My linear equation is y equals mx plus b. But instead of typing y, what does it say right here? It says y1, so I'm going to type y1. Instead of an equal sign, I type this little squiggle. It's on the top of your keyboard next to the 1. mx1 plus b. And it gives me the linear equation. Then I'm going to the next Desmos line, and I'm going to type the exponential equation. y1 shift squiggle a b raised to the x1. Both of them gave me an equation because that's what the computer does. Look at this R value, look at this R value. I'm looking for the R value closest to 1. Well, this one is 1. So that means that exponential fits the data better than linear. Look at the R values. I'm looking for an R value closer to 1. The closer it is to 1, the better it fits the data. If it's exactly 1, it is exactly exponential in this case. So, this is an exponential equation. From Desmos, you see the A, the 5, and the 3 right here? That's where I got the 5 and the 3 right here. Next example. We have some more data. Now, if you want to save yourself some time, leave these two equations alone and go up here to the chart and retype the table. 5 and 10, 7 and 15, 9 and 20, 11 and 15. That's my new data. If I want to see my data points, I'm going to have to change this from 0 maybe to 15, because 11 was my biggest X value. And this needs to go from 0 maybe to just 50 or even 30. And now I can see my data points. So, I compare my R values. Which R value is closer to 1? Neither one of them are very close to 1. I think I may have mistyped my data because it's not coming out how I expected. Let me go back. If I type the wrong data points, am I going to get the right answer? This says 5 and 10, 7 and 15, 9 and what? 20. Aha, this one I mistyped. This one I want to be the number 25, not the number 15. Would you please change that? And did it make just mistyping one data point, did that make a whole lot of difference in my R values? So, make sure you type your data points correctly. I'm comparing the R values. Which one is closer to 1? This one up here with the linear equation is exactly 1. M is the slope for my linear equation. B is the y-intercept for my linear equation. So, what's the equation? What's the linear equation that goes with this data? Now, Desmos told me that the slope was 2.5 and the y-intercept was negative 2.5. If this was a star type question, chances are they would not put the answer in terms of 2.5. They would change 2.5 to a fraction. This button right here changes a decimal to a fraction, and so in fraction form, the equation would have 5/2. Plot the data point using Desmos. Is it exponential or linear? As I showed you in the previous example, it matters if you type it wrong, so please be careful typing in your data. Also notice that the X does not count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It starts skipping. Compare your R values. I'm looking at for the R value closest to 1. This one is exactly 1. So it is going to be this kind of equation. This kind of equation is called exponential. So what is that exponential equation? Y equals, what is my A number? So you see something about how I typed it wrong? Okay, we're going to come back to that one. So the equation was 0.99, this big decimal number, and this was the big decimal. 9999, that would round off to 0.225001225. When you multiply by 1, does it make it more or less, or does it stay the same? It stays the same, so this is how you could write the equation. Many of the times after you find the equation, there is then a follow-up question. The follow-up question is, what is the account balance in 5 weeks? So you type in raised the equation, and in place of the x, we put the number 5 because it asks what would be the account balance in 5 weeks. And right here it tells you what the answer is. Now this is money, so you would have to round it off to 2 decimal places because that's what you do with money. So many times after you find the equation, there's one more question to answer where you have to plug a number into the equation. Okay, here we have some data. Is it exponential or is it linear?